It has been a mere few seconds between the last bout and this bout, and we're back. It's amazing how quickly we all get rested and set up and all that good stuff. In any case, we have our third and final bout of the night between the Twin Cities Terrors, who have all decided to inexplicably tuck in their shirts, against the Beekeepers. Okay, and here we go. We've got Nader's going to Nate, number 88, lined up against Fred Shred Astaire. Sorry, Shred. We've got a Shred Astaire has made it out by the skin of his wheels on the outside line. But not that time. Derby Monster said, I would rather you not skate by me again. So, he didn't. How many points did Shred get? That would be 3 points. 3-0. First jam. Jamie Pacquiao going up against Force Vector for the Terrors. Vecchi getting smashed to the inside and run all the way back, taking that star off, looking for Merlin. But Jamie's going to make his way all the way through the pack before handoff can happen. Merlin's got it, though. He'll be shoved all the way to the back. And not much of a shape being put up there by the Terrors, so Jamie Pacquiao is going to go ahead and just, get some more points. More points. Merlin being quick on his feet and quick on his skates, seeing that he can just get right back in right now. So he does. That'll be a 12-point jam for Jamie Pacquiao. Derby Monster putting the star on for the first time today. Not today, for this bout anyway. He was just out there as a blocker, and now we'll see him jamming against Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy is facing up on the outside, and unless something changes with the Terrors, Cat Daddy is going to have a real quick line to that outside. Going to the inside, though, and it seems to be just as easy, so away you go. Enigma trying to move some folks up at the front there. Cat Daddy facing off against York and Firewally. Too much of a seam being left there, but maybe not quite. Maybe Cat Daddy just got stuck just enough in front of and behind. In front of Firewally and behind York, so it's basically like a sandwich. It's a jammer sandwich. Derby Monster trying to shove his way through on the inside line. Not quite making it. Paul of Duty not quite able to hold Cat Daddy. And Cat Daddy's back around for another scoring pass. Rex Appeal providing some deft offense, allowing Cat Daddy to dance around on the inside line and pick up 4 more points. If that's not a direction of play penalty, I don't know what is. So that'll be number 2 going to the box, Enigma. You just can't skate backwards into people, folks. It's not what we do here. York nearly holding Cat Daddy from picking up 4 more points, but Cat Daddy picks up 4 more points. It's Black 2319 sprinting to the box. That'll be a Rex appeal for interfering with a star pickup or something. I didn't see exactly what that was, but I do hear that that was the end of the jam. It's another 12 points for the Beekeepers. It's good wall put out there by the Beekeepers. They're happy with it. We got Nader's Gonna Nate jamming once again for the Terrors against number, can't see right now. That'll be Shred a Stare once again for, oh, and there goes Skater X trying to provide some offense, but instead providing himself a seat on the ground. Lumberjerk providing a solid hit on Nader's Gonna Nate. Offense being called for by Shred a Stare, and he'll get it, but he'll also get shoved out of bounds by Skater X and Merlin. 2 points only for the Beekeepers on that pass. Good effort by Nader to get out of the box, or not out of the box, out of the pack to, stop the bleeding. Vecchi's putting the star back on for the Terrors against Jamie Pacquiao. Jamie Pacquiao, I have not seen him skate before. Not that I'm like not that I'm the Methuselah or whatever of roller derby, but Vecchi is really trying to go to work on Rex appeal, and go to work he does. He picks up lead jammer. Everybody's going nuts. Number 9, that's going to be Skater X picking up an out-of-play penalty. There goes Force Vector putting the Twin Cities Terrors on the board, but not calling it off in time. So Jamie's still going to pick up. Jamie's still going to pick up 3 points, looks like. And we're going to have, well, they put 5 points up in the sky, but that's not possible on one scoring pass anymore. So that'll go down to 4. Probably. Yep, there it goes. So that's hopefully not the last Grand Slam that we're going to see out of the Terrors. Here comes salty veteran Fire Wally. I don't know how Cat Daddy did it, but his magnetic to concrete toe stops are going nuts and keeping him inbounds just barely. Snarkbite getting offended. Cat Daddy being told to call it, but he didn't call it in time, and there goes Wally. He's picking up 2 more points for the Twin Cities Terrors. That was crazy. That was a lot of action happening real quick. Cat Daddy thought he could pick those points up clean, but he did not. That's a dirty 3 for the Beekeepers and a clean 2 for the Twin Cities Terrors. Who do we got on that line? We got Carly Slade Jepson going up against Nader's Gonna Nate. Solid wall being put out there by the Terrors. We got Paul of Duty, Derby Monster, and York. That's a solid wall. As somebody who was jammed against that wall before, I hate seeing that wall. Man, that's the worst. Nader's Gonna Nate keeps getting recycled all the way back, but I smell an apex jump coming up here real quick. Carly Slade Jepson has made their way to the front of the pack. That is a lead jammer status for Carly Slade Jepson. Not too far behind him, only about half a lap is Nader's Gonna Nate. Going to be putting on the speed before Carly Slade is able to pick up more than 2 points. That should be 2 for them. 1 point? 1 point. There's a waggling finger being, oh, it is 2. Just 2 points for the Beekeepers on that jam. Ten minutes has gone by real quick. in this third and final bout of the night. We have Force Vecchi up against Shred Asti. Some offense there being provided by Shane McPowan. Trying to take advantage of it is Force Vector. Merlin's not getting knocked over. He knows the score. He knows his team's behind. A lot of people getting knocked out of bounds. That's going to be a non-lead jammer status for... Oh, Vecchi's staying in bounds. He's got lead jammer status. As soon as that whistle goes off, that's it. He gets lead jammer status. He's calling it off. What a save by the Twin Cities Terrors there. Getting lead just in time to call it off. Couldn't call it off before that whistle blew, though. Jamie Pacquiao, currently the holder of the largest single jam in this bout, is going up against Nader's Gonna Nates. Jamie Pacquiao hits the deck and is recycled all the way back by Enigma. Nader's Gonna Nate putting on the speed. And Jamie Pacquiao is coming right back up. And there goes Nader. He's got his 4 points. He's got his first Grand Slam, and Jamie Pacquiao is right behind him. Nader's going to run this one out, I think. Nader's feeling it. There he goes. He's starting to call it, and did Jamie get there in time? He did. He got one. Ooh, very nearly. The Beekeepers scored 6 on that one, 5 for the Twin Cities Terrors. Beekeepers have not lost a jam yet in this bout. Timeout being called by the Beekeepers. This timeout brought to you by Existential Dread. Little powwow being had over there by the coaches for the Beekeepers. Metcalf imparting some words of wisdom. Otter supposedly doing the same. Terrors just sitting over there. They're fine. They know what's going on. David Smashelhoff, number 2,000 for the Twin Cities Terrors, keeping his legs warm, staying active, skating around. So Cat Daddy is going to try to make his way through a wall of Merlin, Skater X, and Smashelhoff. And at the very last second, a pivot line start is attempted. And the duo of Skater X and Merlin just not quite able to keep Cat Daddy from picking up that lead jammer status. Merlin's taking a star pass, a real clean one at that. So he's got not lead jammer status, and Cat Daddy is going to get 4 more points and call it off. Coming out under the star for the Twin Cities Terrors is 003, Force Vector. Against Shred Astaire. Classic combo. Beekeepers keep taking the front because they know as soon as they get everybody else clogged up, etc., that their jammers are going to be able to find a hole and take advantage of it. And sure enough, there's that hole on the inside line, and York is going to try to seal it up. Sure enough, he does. But Paula Duty is going to oh, and there we go. There it is. There's the lead jammer status for the Twin Cities Terrors. York is racing up, knocking out Shred Astaire, at least providing enough time for Force Vector to score up, to sync up and get some points. The Beekeepers are uncharacteristically not together. 2 more points for the Twin Cities Terrors and no points for the Beekeepers. Crazy amounts of speed happening right now at 3300 5th Street, Northeast Minneapolis, Minnesota. 55418. Thanks again for tuning in to our special post-production of Skate Patrick's Day. Triple header. This is the final bout of the triple header. We got Jamie Pacquiao finding enough daylight so that he can sneak by on the inside and keeping Fire Wally from getting that lead jammer status. Some great offense being played there by the Beekeepers, but the recycling on the Twin Cities Terrors has been Captain Planet-worthy levels. Somebody's getting a back block. That somebody is Lumberjerk 216. That's going to mean Fire Wally will hopefully have 25% easier of a time getting through the pack. And sure enough, there he goes through the inside line. And Jamie Pacquiao getting clogged up behind Merlin, Enigma. White 540 Merlin's going to get sent to the box for a forearm penalty. And the Beekeepers are going to pick up 2 more points. Beekeepers keeping up their spirits via high fives and positive attitudes. Terrors keeping up their spirits by calling timeouts. This timeout brought to you by the placebo effect. Terrors are really keeping their head above water here. 40-point differential halfway through the first period is not insurmountable, especially considering their opponents. Terrors have a lot of new skaters this year, and they've been doing their best to gel as a team. They've been doing a heck of a job, I must say. Beekeepers, of course, have their system in St. Louis, one of the most admirable systems and programs in all of roller derby. You can really sense the spirit of camaraderie and togetherness within this crew. Just looking at them play, just seeing how they behave on the bench. Just a great outfit, and we're real happy to have them here in gorgeous Northeast Minneapolis, in our humble but epic warehouse. Speaking of epic, we've got Cat Daddy versus Nader's Gonna Nate, and we've got some pretty solid defense being played by both teams. Skater X providing a brace on a tripod. Nader's Gonna Nate avoiding a track cut. Just barely. That's going to be officially reviewed. I see Otter storming over to Metcalf, and he knows. And that could have possibly been a back block as well. Looks super fancy, though. That is a grand slam for Nader's Gonna Nate. I don't think he's going to get away with this one, though. Yep, that's a skating out of bounds penalty. There goes Nader's Gonna Nate for power jam being awarded to the Beekeepers. wild, crazy derby being played right now, especially on this first turn. Merlin's getting goated. Oh, there he goes, Merlin. He doesn't know what's going on, except for he's going to the box. I didn't see what that was. It was a sportsmanship thing. It looks like he kind of taunted Cat Daddy after he smacked him into the ground. There goes Nate knocking over Cat Daddy as he gets out of the box and recycling him back into the wall. What an IQ play coming out there from Naderskin and Nate, putting Cat Daddy behind a perfectly formed tripod of TC Terrors. That's a lot of vet skaters out there for the Terrors. And York with a clutch hit to the inside, keeping Cat Daddy from getting a clean line, and that is going to be the natural conclusion of that jam. And if I didn't know any better, I would say that Metcalf is going to put up the O, and there he goes. Metcalf is going to call for an official review on, any number of things that probably happened there. Probably the track cut, probably the back block. This official review brought to you by Doing a Thorough Job. It's been awesome all day, folks, and it just keeps getting awesomer. Both teams look like they're focused. Everybody's keeping it together. Metcalf acting short in front of York. York's not that tall. I mean, the camera adds 10 pounds and the skates add 4 inches, but so glancing over there at the penalties, it looks like both teams are about even, unless my bat eyes can't see anything. But yeah, it looks like both teams have about equal number of penalties. Relatively clean game so far. Relatively clean game. It'd be good if the Terrors are doing a good job communicating out there, it seems like, and a good job recycling. So got to keep that up, maybe make it a little bit better. The level of opponent that they're playing right now is pretty high, so there's not a whole lot of room for error. This will be a good time to hold your feet to the fire and see just how good this squad can be. Especially this is the first day playing against other opponents from out of state or from out of anywhere really as a team. So it's great. It's like Christmas, Derby Christmas. It's wonderful. You get to know all the stuff that you know how to do. You get to know all the stuff that you need to work on. It's a very exciting time. Very exciting. Autocorrect is sauntering over to the penalty box. And it appears giving direction to the people who are timing the penalty and looking at the direction of the Terrors bench. All of these things would imply to me that Nader's going to the box for either a back block or a track cut. Now, track cuts are really hard to get somebody to overturn because usually it takes somebody looking at it and seeing exactly what happened. If they didn't see it the first time, they're probably not going to see it the second time, especially when there is no second time. There was just the first time. So we'd have to use the lens of their mind to go back in time and see whether or not Nader's skate did roll over that rope, or there was a figment of their imagination. Looks like things are settling out. They're having the final meeting with, of this official review anyway, between the captains and the head skating official, I should say. Shrugging, shaking heads, giggling. It's all perfectly normal. That's a head shake from Metcalf, and that is an official review not attained, or retained, rather, for the first time this evening. We got Force Vector going up against Carly Slade-Jepsen. Terror's Wall is Snarkbite, 789-107. Shane McPowan, 00 is Derby Monster. And 0405 is Paul of Duty. The Beekeepers have Specs Appeal, number 70. Oh, there goes Carly Slade-Jepsen making quick work of that outside line and quick work of the pack in general. Picking up that lead jammer status for their team. Two very loud whistles are being blasted. Black 3-9 is going to the box for what appeared to be a direction of play penalty, and Force Vector is out of the pack. Oh, and Paul of Duty is getting laid out by Carly Slade-Jepsen in possibly the best reaction I've ever seen to knocking somebody over in the history of the sport. Paul of Duty knew what he needed to do, and he did it, but it looked painful. New jammer for the Terrors, 540 Merlin. Sometimes a blocker, sometimes a jammer, all the time awesome. And Merlin's going to apply his special brand of just not giving a crap about what's going on and forcing his way to the front, maybe getting away with the trap. I heard the tape crinkle, but that doesn't mean you went out of bounds. It might imply it, but it doesn't mean it. David Smashelhoff's going to try not to be a point here. That's an apex jump, successful, I might add, by Merlin. And that's going to be 4 points for the Twin Cities Terrors, but 3 is going to get added to the score for the Beekeepers by Shred Astaire. So 4 dirty points from Merlin getting picked up there. I get why some people call this sport flying squirrels. Flying squirrel derby. A lot of action out there, a lot of people getting busted apart very, very quick on whatever is happening at the time. Jamie Pacquiao putting Skater X on his backside. Not often that happens. And Nader's gonna Nate being knocked to the outside by number 7-4, whose name I still haven't picked up on yet. I'm not a very observant person. Jamie Pacquiao getting Derby Monster just missing that stealthy star pass. Not that it mattered, because it looks like that was enough of a distraction for Nader's gonna Nate to get out of the pack and get not lead jammer status. Jamie Pacquiao putting in a ton of work here this evening. That was 1 4-point pass. That was another 4-point pass. 2 grand slams for Jamie. He's doing those Peter Pan tights proud. Ooh, a little jostling, not jostling. You got Yoshi playing some offense on the Terrors. And unless they do something about Yoshi, it's going to be really hard to... Oh, brilliant. Brilliant play by Yoshi. But an even faster play by Force Vector. Force Vector trying to catch Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy almost looked like he was going to call it off, like he wasn't sure if he could beat him. Cat Daddy going out of bounds. Getting knocked out of bounds. Both teams held scoreless. Fast, fruitless jam. But darn if it wasn't fun to watch. We have an official review being called by the Terrors. And I have to go feed my cats. That is not a joke. I actually have to go feed my cats. So I will be leaving the microphone propped up in such a way that you'll be able to hear the crowd reaction and possibly overhear the gatekeeper's or the beekeeper's bench. It's right there, so I'll be right back. An official review is being called by White.
So after that official review, the non-call stands. Fire Wally on the line for the Terrors, punching up through the middle, trying to swim through that sea of beekeepers there, but a bunch of black shirts in his way. Beekeepers jammer out after a couple of nifty moves through that pack of white. Fire Wally still struggling to get out. He does have the star off his head looking for his pivot, but on the scoring pass comes number 12, Shred-a-Stare for the St. Louis Beekeepers. Finding a pretty tough wall of white up front, getting pushed around to the outside and tries back in. Nice job of cycling by the white defense there. Fire Wally still struggling to the outside, gets pushed out and is going to be drawn back by number 39 for the Beekeepers. And Derby Monster does finally get the start for the Twin Cities Terrors, punches through that front and is out, but is not on a scoring pass. Looks like he is coming back. That was a illegal star pass on the part of the Terrors there. We'll find out what the official call is here in just a moment as we queue up for a new jab. And looks like we're going to get an official review, so it's going to be a minute yet before we find out what the result of that was. And Nader's going to Nate, looking like he's going to line up for the next jam of this game. And with York, Shane McPowan, Paul LaDuty out for defensive and offensive pack duties. St. Louis Beekeepers having a bit of a strategy huddle while we're waiting through this officials review. And we're going to get back to the action. And there goes the whistle. Nate tried the inside, back out to the middle, gets pushed to the outside, but steps his skate out front. St. Louis Beekeepers jammer finds that seam on the inside, takes it, and he is out and a half a track around before Nate finds his seam on towards the outside. But a big hit by Dago Womp to the outside pushes Nate out and is going to get dragged back. Points getting scored by the St. Louis Beekeepers. Nate not finding much offense from his blockers. Struggling to get out of this pack, looking to play a little jammer defense as the St. Louis Gatekeepers are on their second scoring pass of this jam. And that jammer is now out and looking for a third. Nate still trying to find the seams on the inside. He does have the star off his head, looking to pass to his pivot York. And third scoring pass complete for the St. Louis Beekeepers. 98-23 the score with 6:23 left to go in the first half. Some nice offense being played up front by the Beekeepers. Jammer getting stuffed up front by some strong defense being played by York, doing it single-handedly. Not a lot of help from his teammates there, pushing each other around. But he does finally get pushed to the outside and is going to get drawn back. This is going to be an opportunity for Nate to try to get out of that pack on his initial pass. He has not put that star back on his head as he says it yet, keeping an eye out for his pivot. But York may be far more valuable playing a defensive role than he would be for the jammer. Does finally take that star and gets immediately pushed to the inside and has to come all the way back. Another scoring pass here for the Beekeepers. Terror is still looking to get out on their initial pass. St. Louis Beekeepers really putting some points up here in this 19th jam of the first half. 5:30 remaining, 106 Beekeepers, 23 Terrors.
I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job, Pete. Thank you for stepping in for Adam.
So quite the jam there for the St. Louis Beekeepers. Really putting this game out of reach just when the Terrors thought they might be able to be within touching distance of trying to overcome that deficit. That one may have put the first half on ice for the Beekeepers. Force Vector jamming for the Terrors now on this jam. Weaving and bobbing his way through the pack. Thought he got hit a little high with the forearms there, looking at the officials, but comes back in after getting pulled back a little bit. Thought he found a seam on the outside. And gets stuffed to the outside line. However, Terror is doing just as good a job keeping that Beekeepers jammer stuck on their initial pass. Both these jammers still looking to get out for the first time. Number 39 for the Beekeepers going to the box. Short pack for St. Louis. Force Vector spinning his way through that pack. Does finally get out on the inside. Lead jammer to the Twin Cities Terrors. Or excuse me, was not lead jammer. The St. Louis Beekeepers jammer was the lead jammer, but is getting sent to the box for a penalty. So this is a power jam for the Terrors. Force Vector taking a big hit from Lumberjerk on the backside outside. Comes back in looking to put a few points up on the board for the Terrors. Does get through that pack for a 4-point scoring pass. And another Beekeeper going to the box here. This is bad news for the St. Louis Beekeepers in this jam. After such a brilliant jam last go round, quite the polar opposite that we have here. A lot of penalty trouble, and Force Vector, a jammer that you do not want to give short packs and power jams to. He will absolutely put these points up on the board. Just past the 3.5-minute mark left in the first period, 31-106 in favor of the visiting St. Louis Beekeepers. Terrors showing signs of life here late in the first half. Force Vector cannot call this jam off. He was not called the lead jammer. That was the Beekeepers jammer before they went to the box. So this jam did reach its natural conclusion. Penalty box has been cleared for the St. Louis Beekeepers. 10 points for Force Vector on that last jam. Terrors 33, Beekeepers 110, 2:45 left in the first half, coming up on the 20th jam of this half. Merlin with the star on his head for the Twin Cities Terrors. Look to find a seam on the outside there. A nicely jump overstep on the outside line. Trying to use that strength now to push through the front of the pack. Puts a shoulder down, trying to barrel through that, but the St. Louis Beekeepers will be equal to that sort of force. Does find a hole on the inside, tried to get through it though. Did get pushed to the end, has to come all the way back down. Paula Duty, who was the pivot for this jam, going to the box. That was a track cut. Short pack in favor of the Beekeepers. And Beekeepers jammer is out. And coming up on a scoring pass, Mervin still looking to complete his initial pass, facing some very stiff resistance at the back of the box. Tried to follow the Beekeepers jammer through, but that wall closed up on him in quite a hurry. Beekeepers jammer pushed to the outside, has to cycle all the way back. And the same story for Merlin. Spread out pack here. Beekeepers keeping a long line to the back to try to make Merlin go back as far as he needs to, while the Terrors are clustered up to the front, just trying to keep some solid bodies in front of that jammer. Remember, the Beekeepers are on the scoring pass here and call the jam off. No points either side there. 3 points for the Beekeepers there. 33 Terrors, Beekeepers 114, coming up to 1 minute left in the first half. Reminder that Twin Cities Roller Derby is brought to you by Lake Monster Brewing in St. Paul. Lake Monster Brewing, your neighborhood brewery. Some fine footwork maneuvering by the St. Louis Beekeepers jammer to cut through that pack. Some really nice lateral movement there. But Fire Wally also out jamming for the Terrors, about a half a track behind. Terrors looking to reform their walls. They come back up, gets past Skater X, gets past Shane McFowan. That wall that was trying to form got quickly spread apart by that Beekeepers defense. Fire Wally now putting some points up on the board. And Adams back.
Pippin and Cricket are now fed. Thank you, Pete, for stepping in. 10 seconds left in the period, but 1 minute and 20 left on the jam clock. Is someone going to take a timeout? No, they will not. No one will take a timeout, and we'll go right to halftime. So I got back just in time. The exact right second. 121 for the Beekeepers and 37 for the Terrors. I'm sure those last couple of jams were just as thrilling as me scooping cat food out of a bag and putting it into some cat food bowls. In any case, I'm going to put a pause on it, and I will see you in a mere second or two for the second half. I have it on good authority that the next period is going to start in about a minute. That authority being the ultimate authority, of course, is time. And the timer. You'll notice some of the Terrors sporting a tucked-in look for this bout. Got some full tuck going on. Bench coach Metcalf has also gone full tuck with his track jacket, hoping that no one would notice. Thankfully, no one has. More good news is that nobody is seriously injured. Why did I say that? Why did I say that? I'm going to find some wood to knock on. Hold on. Right? All right. I've knocked on wood. Everything's going to be fine. I don't know, you're superstitious. We got Jamie Pacquiao, who has been picking the Terrors not apart. He's been doing a really good job finding the seams. And it's almost impossible to not leave seams while playing roller derby. But Jamie's been doing work out there. But then again, so is Nader. Nader's flying around, spinning around, doing his Nader things. I don't know what either team is attempting to do here, but ooh. We got a pivot line start, and that's really all that matters. And Derby Monster is going to win that little stare down, but then again, oh, there goes Nader Scanner getting a real quick and easy apex line to pick up lead jammer status for the Terrors, and Jammy's a half lap behind him. That's more than enough time to pick up at least 1 point, maybe 2 or 3, perhaps 4, 3. I'm going with 3. The wager is 3, Bob. What do you get? Somebody tell. Looks like 2. Oof. I got prices rated out of that bet. The very next jam, we've got Vecchi Force Vector versus Cat Daddy. York's sitting up in front trying to disrupt the trio of Lumberjerk and 2 others whose names I did not see. But Cat Daddy sees daylight on the inside, gets it, and he's out for lead jammer status following some solid offense being played by the Gatekeepers. Here comes Cat Daddy for a scoring pass, sneaking by the Terrors and making his way out. Force Vector's had enough. He's taking the star off. Let's hope York's looking for it. Oh, that's half a breakdancing move, half of just like doing really cool jumps. And Cat Daddy is going back up against a wall of Terrors and somehow staying in bounds. It's an incredible move. There goes Force Vector flashing the star hat just to distract some folks, and York went for it, but Force Vector kept it. Thanks again to our friends from Wisconsin for making the trek across the mighty Mississippi, the Big Muddy, to visit us this afternoon. Play some good old-fashioned adults on roller skates. Beekeepers didn't have to cross such a river, but they're here anyway. We've got Shred Astaire trying to move Merlin around. Merlin doesn't like being moved. I don't know if you know this about the guy, but he just doesn't like it at all. Fire Wally trying to make his way through the Beekeepers. Looks like he's got daylight, and sure enough he does. Keeps his feet underneath him. And picking up that not lead jammer status. There's some whistles that are happening. We don't know who's going out, but it's going to be 5-4-0 Merlin, who winds up with that penalty call. Going to be sitting in the box for the next 30 seconds. When I say box, of course, I mean the Lake Monster holding tank, named, of course, for our generous beer sponsor, Lake Monster Brewing. Jamie Pacquiao working against Snarkbaits, York, and quadratic evasion, providing some much-needed offense. And the offense for the Beekeepers is impeccable. Timely, effective, and disruptive to defense. Did Nate get any points? 1. He got 1. That'll offset the Beekeepers' score on that jam by exactly 50%. High energy bout between these two. Between these two teams. Carly Slade Jepson is going up against Force Vector, who took a belly flop to the inside of the line and is going up against. And David Smashelhoff holding Carly Slade Jepson until I finished saying that line, and then Carly Slade Jepson is out picking up lead jammer status for their team. And Force Vector trying to follow some offense by Paul of Duty. Force has taken off the star. He's trying to go up the middle against a 3-wall, of Beekeepers. A clean star pass has been completed. Derby Monster has the star, and he's skating around, forcing Carly Slade to call it off. That'll be 4 points again for the Beekeepers. None for the Terrors, but a timely star pass kept that from being perhaps additional points. Shred Astaire versus 540 Merlin. I don't know what 540. I'm guessing it's a math joke. He knows math. Oh, Merlin trying to scoot by number 39. I do not know what their derby name is. Oh, but he's pretty scooty, that Merlin. He's trying for it, and Shane McPowan's trying to provide some offense, and Skater X calling for a wall, not getting one, and getting shoved to the just off of that apex line, and then Merlin's right behind him, trying to pick up some points. High fives and smiles. That's why we're here, high fives and smiles. Popular jammer Nader's Gonna Nate is going up against other popular jammer, Jamie Pacquiao. Beekeeper's taking that all-important front of the line, or front of the pack, I mean, like allowing, it just opens up so many possibilities for you. Except this one time where Nader's Gonna Nate is gonna pick up lead jammer status, and Jamie Pacquiao is hot on his heels. 30 feet ain't nothing for either of these jammers. They'll pick that up in no time. Jamie Pacquiao is out of the pack, and he is in front, so there's no reason for Nate to really call it off until he picks up 4 points of his own. But that might not happen, and he's going to call it off right now before Jamie can worsen the damage. That's a 3-4 jam. 3 for the Terrors, 4 for the Beekeepers. Solid skating being exhibited by both teams. And again, Beekeepers taking the front of the pack. Quadratic Evasion playing some dance-aroundy games with Enigma, but there goes Cat Daddy, able to take advantage of an off-balance blocker to procure lead jammer status for himself. And here goes Fire Wally, drawing a blocking out of play penalty on a Beekeeper skater whose name I did not get and number I cannot see. That's fine, because we've got the Ada shorts going by for their non-lead jammer status. That would appear to be, it was nearly scoreless until I looked at the scoreboard again. But that was a 3-0 jam for the Beekeepers. Still keeping the Beekeepers in single digits. No mean feat. A little bit of a mixed up area here. We've got York positioning on the outside and almost had Force Vector free and clear, but Vecchi decided to march to the beat of his own drum. And he's all the way back there, giving a high five to Yoshi. A lot of respect between these two organizations. We'll try to be friends with one another. We've got Somebody got called for destruction. I didn't see who it was. It was 0187. That's Dr. Dread. Oof. I'm really sorry, everybody, if I keep butchering these names. I do not have a list of names in front of me because I did not plan that well ahead. So it's all my fault. Becky taking a breather on the inside line. Shred a stare, pointing, asking questions, surveying. Not sure if he wants to call it off yet or not, but Force Vetter going inside, outside, and back to the outside, picking up 4 more points for the Twin Cities Terrors. Shred a stare and forced to call it off before Vecchi picked up any more points. Beekeepers deciding to start all the way at the front of the pad, but Jamie Pacquiao does not give a crap, and he's going to go ahead and pick up lead jammer status anyway. Oh, a nearly shot duck on the apex on the outside for Nader's gonna Nate. Ooh, York hit the ground, and he was holding his ankle before he got back up, so something to keep your eye on. Nader's gonna Nate doing his signature, I don't know how he did it move to stay in bounds. Someone's getting called for a high block, and that's going to be number 39. That's quadratic evasion. Or not. Oh, number 9, not number 3. No. No penalties. It's one of those we're really sorry for bothering you whistles. Or it didn't actually happen. This official timeout brought to you by the after party, which is happening in a scant hour or so. Not that you'll be able to attend because you're watching this in the future. York went to see the EMT and he sat there for a second, but now he's sitting back on the bench. What this means is anyone's guess. He's within earshot, and I could ask him, but it's going to be a mystery. Oh, very nearly every single one of the beekeepers out there was wearing the brand new Rydell Solaris skates. Looks like we got a set of Motas out there. No, I can't tell. Anywho, we've got Merlin with the star on his head trying to make his way through the beekeepers, but you know who makes their way through the Terrors first is Cat Daddy, number 9, picking up lead jammer, but Merlin's really not okay with that. Terrors calling for a wall, gonna get one. A solid wall. Cat Daddy's being shoved to the ground by 0137. Merlin getting shoved to the inside. That would be a forearm penalty. There's no whistle, but there's definitely a whole lot of yelling. Oof, a shove to the front. There's a low block being called on. That'll be David Smashelhoff. And this is Derby Monster trying to go up against Yoshi. Yoshi being pretty good. Derby Monster's getting called for a forearm, but he doesn't know it? Or does he know it? It wasn't getting called on him. Somebody was very excited about getting a forearm penalty getting called on themselves, so perhaps that was a bet. What you couldn't see there was Derby Monster popping somebody up into the air and moving about 4 feet down the track as they ran into their side, which is a totally legal blocking zone if you ever decided to play roller derby, which you should. Check out TwinCitiesRollerDerby.com and how to join. Find some info there. Speaking of info, here's some more for you. That was an 8-4 jam for the Beekeepers. It seems like each team should have scored 30 points for that one. That was insane. That was crazy stuff. Some encouraging words being imparted to Call of Duty from Firewally. The cool thing about Firewally is you can take him seriously even though he's got his jersey tucked into his shorts. Oh, that was I heard that before I saw it. That was a lot of thumping going on between Carly Slade-Jepson and the Terrors wall. Force Vector picking up not Lee Jammerstad. Oh, dang it. He knew how close he was on that one. He's got the star off, but he's got his feet in bounds, and he's got his moves and his health. I presume he's got his health. He seems healthy. Pre-made tripod up at front for the Terrors. Derby Monster trying to buy some time for Vecchi to get up and running. Carly Slade-Jepson gets knocked to the inside, and they call it off. So it looks like everyone had had enough at that point, if I'm honest. Just call it. Get out of here. Halfway through the second period, Beekeepers 177 to the Twin Cities Terrors 51 points. Heck of a match between these two teams. Jamie Pacchio up against Nader's Gonna Nate. Wonder where I've seen this before. Jamie getting knocked to the outside and out of bounds by Enigma and run back by Paul of Duty using his gesticulation to convey exactly what he wanted to happen. However, what did happen was Nader's Gonna Nate followed Jamie Pacchio all the way through the pack, thus letting Jamie and Nader through what was otherwise a pretty solid wall. Nader's going to call it after picking up a big old grand slam for your Terrors, or someone else's Terrors. They're my Terrors. We have a Cat Dad versus a Wall of Fire, or we don't. We have a timeout being called by the Beekeepers. This timeout brought to you by Bird and Barrel. It's where I bought a shirt that has a chicken dressed up like Run DMC on it. It says fresh as cluck. I washed it once and it made it to the dryer, so it shrank. And it didn't fit me anymore, so I sold it in a garage sale. Great fried chicken, though. Thanks to Metcalf, bench coach of the Beekeepers, for bringing us to that wonderful location. When we said, we're hungry. So he's like, let's go here. And then we did. It was great. Max is going to be up at the front for the Twin Cities Terrors, but quadratic evasion is going to knock Firewally to the outside. And then Cat Daddy is going to get out with a no pass, no penalty. Firewally is definitely going to pick up lead jammer status here, or not lead jammer status. Firewally, after a little bit of confusion, calls his own lead jammer status and tries to jam against Lumberjerk to pick up 4 big points. And everybody hits the ground over in the middle of the second straightaway, but Cat Daddy manages to get out of there unscathed and picks up 4 more points. Firewally don't care. Fuego Wallace is going to torch your Alamo. Pick up 3 more points, probably. 0 more points. No, there's going to be a slight confer, but that was a 4-4 jam. Solid effort by everybody. Just over 12 minutes left just over a whole lot of awesome remaining. Who we got here? We got some Shred Astaire versus some Forced Vectors. Fred Astaire is going to see that there's enough room on the outside to pick up that lead jammer status. And Vicky's going to take the star off and look for York, who's right up front. Oh, what a star pass. Brilliant moves. Staying in bounds and picking up that now lead jammer status. Probably going to hold the Beekeepers to 4 points here. Yep. Shred Astaire doing the jammerly thing and looking at their bench coach to find out, should I call it? What do you want, coach? What's happening? What's happening is he actually did call it because that's what he was told to do. Solid teamwork. Had by all. We got some more Jamie Pacquiao versus Merlin's gonna Merlin's gonna Merle. Merlin's gonna Merle sounds better. Anyway, Jamie Pacquiao is gonna make his way to the inside because his feet are just that darn fast. Merlin's gonna get recycled to the inside again. Jamie Pacquiao is already at the back of the pack and staying in bounds. I don't know how in the world he did that. He's got to have glue on those toe stops or something. Ooh, Jamie Pacquiao getting the inside line on Merlin, but Merlin knows his racing lines. He knows he'll be able to match up against him again. We have some audience members yelling at the terrace to make a shape. Even though we can't call it. Much ado about 4 points for the Beekeepers. 189 for the Beekeepers, 61 for the Terrors. This is an inside baseball type of moment, but I know that the Terrors have spent a lot of time trying to get everybody up to speed. We have a lot of different skill levels within the league, and just trying to gel as a unit, really. And honestly, going up against the B team for the best team in the world, doing great work out there. Great work out there. Nade's going to find daylight on the inside thanks to some opportune offense being played by Derby Monster, who isn't quite able to squid Cat Daddy out of bounds before Cat Daddy picks up 4 more points and Max goes to the box. Skater X number 9 going to take a seat in the Lake Monster holding tank. This pivot line start brought to you by Operational Internal Wi-Fi. Or a timeout being called by the Terrors. This timeout brought to you by rechargeable AA batteries, without which you wouldn't be able to hear loose change on the in-house microphone. had to replace some AA batteries, and Fred Astaire had to replace his lack of not being lead jammer, so he's lead jammer now. Did I say Fred Astaire again? I meant Shred Astaire. Everything's just moving so fast around here that it's hard to keep track of exactly what's going on. However, Shred Astaire is going to get 4 more points, so that's going on. Force Vector, after some friendly fire courtesy of York, is going to make it all the way to the front of the jam. Not the jam, the pack. And he's now not lead jammer. Fire Wally hits the deck. Has a good chin wag with York, captain of the Terrors. 1 of 2. Other captain, of course, being Force Vector. I say, of course, as if anybody could guess that. Beekeeper's taking the front of the pack to start off again, and Jamie Pacquiao is going to probably pick his way through the inside. Nope, middle. Nope, there he is, inside, there it is. York sees it, has seen it before. Jamie Pacquiao gets shoved into Snarkbite, who then is barely able to make their way up. There goes Merlin. He's shoving his way. He's not taking no for an answer, and he has made his way to the front of the pack for a non-lead jammer status. Probably going to keep Jamie Pacquiao to just 4 points. When I say just 4 points, I mean like 4 points is a lot in this particular game. Jamie being told to call it. High fives and rainbows, folks. Everyone seems like they're still in good spirits out there. I mean, we play roller derby because we like it, so. Crowd chanting for Paul of Duty, but they're really just chanting duty because duty. Nader's gonna. Nate has lead jammer status for the Twin Cities Terrors. Cat Daddy is going to face up against Skater X, who holds him just long enough for at least 2 more of his teammates to show up, and buy enough time for Nader's going to need to get all the way back around to hopefully score some points. He sees Cat Daddy. He sees the writing on the wall. He's going to call off the jam after picking up a number of points. That number is 2. Heck of an effort by Nate to take advantage of the offense being provided and the chaos which ensued afterwards. That's a 5-second yell. And that's a jam start whistle. And this is Carly Slade-Jepson going up against Fire Wally. Carly Slade-Jepson is getting put up against quite the wall of terrors here. And then here comes Spec Switch. Which Specs? There he goes. There goes Fire Wally. He's got lead jammer status of the Twin Cities Terrors. And Carly Slade is forced to take the star off. But where's the pivot? There's the pivot. I didn't see him. That's Yoshi. That's Yoshi getting blocked for 30 feet by Merlin. Fire Wally is being told to call it. He perks his head up. He sees what's going on. He's going to call it off. Picks up 4 points. An unanswered grand slam from the Twin Cities Terrors. Heck of a jam. That's what I'm talking about. That was great. Even Rip Track's feeling it. You did it, Wally! We got Force Vector versus Shred Astaire and a split-up pack. We got York trying to provide offense on the inside. He manages to provide it. Force Vector manages to stay in bounds. He's got 1 more to beat. Can he do it before Shred Astaire gets to the front? He cannot. And Shred Astaire steals the lead jammer status away from Force Vector after all that hard work. Lumberjerk's going to go to the box. Force Vector is going to take to the air and manage to get out of the pack, hopefully keeping Shred to only the one scoring pass. York just not able to get Shreddy knocked to the outside. 4-point jam for the Beekeepers. Every point is not being given up here. This is crazy. There's a lot of great defense being played, a lot of really deft offense. You can tell that the Gatekeepers have to play and practice internally against the best team in the world because their offense is exactly where it needs to be and when it needs to be. Another divided pack with the Beekeepers all the way up at the pivot line. And Jamie Pacquiao making his way all the way around the Terror's wall. Nader barely being knocked around. It's a no pass, no penalty, but except for it was a track cut. It's a track cut. Friends and enemies, that's where it is. Jamie's coming back up. Jamie Pacquiao picks up 4 more points for the Beekeepers. Much yelling going on. Jamie Pacquiao is approaching the outside of the pack, going towards the middle, going up against the triangle of terrors and making his way out. A star pass has been completed. Derby Monster has the star in his hand and is knocked to the inside after trying to skate towards the outside by the Beekeepers. Derby Monster staying in bounds, doing a little backsy fourthsies, and managing to make his way out and procuring that non-lead jammer status for himself. That's leading with the head getting called on Yoshi, number 1990. Max thought that he knocked Jamie out of bounds, but Jamie doesn't go out of bounds. Jamie stays in bounds. A minute and 30 left in a very exciting bout between these two teams. Timeout being called by the Twin Cities Terrors. This timeout brought to you by Meditative Practices and maintaining a cool head under pressure. Friendly huddle with among the last line of terror fence. Oh, Kevin must be Merlin's cat. Must be Merlin's cat. Merlin and Grace's cat. Sorry, it's not just Merlin's cat. A very special thanks again to our officials, non-skating officials, and EMT staff. Honestly, we're just a bunch of crazy adults that want to roll around on roller skates. And if it weren't for our officials and EMTs, we would be way worse off. We might not even do it. So we owe them an unrepayable debt of gratitude, but we're going to try to repay it as much as we can. What's going on out there, folks? You tell me. Cat Daddy not quite falling over is what's going on right now. But Merlin's only about 50 feet behind him. And the Terrors are still without a shape. However, Call of Duty is going to buy him enough time to at least get into a couple of duos. That's a Derby Monster back block getting called. But we've got at least a duo of York and Call of Duty that are able to keep Cat Daddy at bay for at least a few seconds, hopefully letting Merlin score points, or at the very least be able to get his complete his initial pass, I should say. York very nearly being able to make Cat Daddy go to the inside and be out of bounds. Merlin's got to beat quadratic evasion. And little does quadratic evasion know that Merlin used to be a math teacher. How's that for a quadratic something or other? I'm bad at math. Doesn't matter. Let's go, Merlin! Merlin's going to approach the pack for the final time this afternoon, and that'll be the end of today's Skate Patrick's Day. Thank you again for tuning in after the fact on our YouTube channel, through your phone, through your tablet, through your grandma's smart TV, wherever. Thank you again for joining us. We hope to see you at the next training session where we can all be on roller skates as adults together, or at our next event. Check out TwinCitiesRollerDerby.com for all contact information. Check us out on the Facebook, on the Instagrams, on the Twitter at TC Terrors. And we'll see you at Lake Monster Brewing.